It's especially astonishing when you go back to the book of Job, because Job says only God can walk on the sea. This is such fantastic. Okay, so walking on the sea is not just in the synoptics. This one's in John 2, right? They go into the boat. They're on the Sea of Galilee.
And tell people how big the Sea of Galilee is.
I'm glad you asked. So the Sea of Galilee is about 7 miles wide at its widest point, okay?
Pretty big.
It's not a pond. It's not a little bitty lake. It's a sea. Like there's a reason they call it the Sea of Galilee, okay? And so in the Gospel of Mark, when evening came, the boat was out on the sea. He was alone. Jesus was alone on the land. He saw that they were distressed and rowing, for the wind was against them. And about the 4th watch of the night, so this is later, he came to them walking on the sea. He meant to pass them by, but when they saw him walking on the sea, they thought it was a ghost. So the disciples believed in ghosts. If you're a ghost believer, there you go. Actually, it's a spirit. And they cried out, for they all saw him, and they were terrified. But immediately he spoke to them and he said, take heart, literally in Greek, I am, ego eimi, have no fear. He got into the boat with them and the wind ceased and they were utterly astounded, right? What's interesting here is that if you look at the Gospel of John's account, he adds a detail. Mark and Matthew, they all say that he was in the midst of the sea. If you look at the Greek, John says they were 4 miles from the shore when Jesus comes walking. Okay.
4 miles, a long way to walk.
That's what I like to tell my students. I'm like, listen, if Jesus did not know he was God at mile 1, I bet by mile 4, he had figured it out. Like, I'm not like all the other people, right? So this is a massive, astonishing display of supernatural power over the elements, okay? It's especially astonishing when you go back to the book of Job in chapter 9, because Job says only God can walk on the sea. In fact, the Septuagint, the ancient Greek translation of the says that God walks on the waves as though on dry ground. Right? It's a expression of his divine power over the sea. So when Jesus comes to them, doing something Job says only God can do, walk on the sea, and then says, "I am. Don't be afraid." This is a theophany, a revelation of God, or a Christophany. It's a revelation of his divinity. Now, some people will say, well, no, he's just identifying himself.
I wanted to ask you this. Is there any other way to say I? Like, it sounds like I've heard some people talk about this. It sounds like you can't say I am. Is anyone allowed to say I am, or is that always claiming the divine name?
Great question. Okay, so the expression in Greek, ego eimi, I am, can be used to identify yourself. In fact, in the road to Emmaus, when they doubt,
how careful do you have to be?
Okay,
without being accused of blasphemy.
You don't have to be that careful. Like, for example, in Luke 24, when they're like, "Is it him?" He says, "Ego eimi autos." It is I myself. So he puts a little emphasis there to make it clear. Okay.
Yeah.
When the blind man is healed in John chapter, I think it's 9, and they're like, "Wait, is this the same guy?" He says, "Ego eimi," like I am, and in that context, it clearly means what? It's me, right? So he is identifying himself.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. I'm not denying that. But he's not only doing that, because context is how you determine what ego eimi means. You got to look at the context, right? Yeah. If the high priest asks him, "Are you the Messiah?" and you say, "I am," which he does, that's just, you're answering yes, right? So in context, when he says ego eimi, and he's walking on the water, like, okay, then we taking it up to the next level, because you're saying it in the context of something that only God does. And I'll take it one step further. He doesn't just say I am. This is really important. He says, ego eimi me phobesta. I am, don't be afraid. That expression is from Isaiah 43. Isaiah 43, God says, I am, do not be afraid. See, this is the language of a theophany. Whenever God appears, whenever the God of Israel appears in the Old Testament, the reaction is what? Fear. Like, I'm afraid. I'm terrified. It's the mysterium et tremendum. Like, it's the mystery and tremendous awe of being in the presence of the creator of the world. And so frequently when God will appear, he'll say, do not fear. So Jesus isn't just taking I am from the burning bush in Exodus 3. He's taking the I am from Isaiah 43, which is one of the most monotheistic passages in the whole Old Testament. Because in that passage, when God says, I am, don't be afraid, he also says, there is no God but me. Like, you go back and read the prophecy. So Jesus is using the language of Jewish monotheism, not just to reveal his identity like that it's him, but to reveal his divinity. Okay, this is a divine manifestation. And if you have any doubts about that, just go to the Gospel of Matthew. I read you Mark's version. But you look at Matthew, how do they respond? They hit the ground. It says they fell down and worshiped him and said, surely you are the Son of God. Okay.
I don't know about this, but is there a way that worship could mean something else?
Alex O'Connor and I, we were discussing this.
Okay, as opposed to attributing divinity to
him. Sure. We talked about this because he rightly not objected, but he pointed out that, again, the word proskuneo, which literally means to get down on your knees or get down on your face, it's like prostration, doesn't always mean the worship that's given to a divinity. It can mean the kind of homage given to a king, like I bowed down before the king. So the way you interpret the meaning of the gesture is with the context, okay? Sometimes it's just homage, right? Other times it's actually worship. The way you understand what it means is you look at the context. So what's the context in Matthew? He just finished walking on the sea, taking the divine I am name as his own, using the language of God, do not fear, right? And revealing all three of those things while he's walking on the water, which Job says only God can do to the apostles. And then their reaction is what?
Worship, yeah.
Proskunesis, get down and worship him. Now, do they fully grasp the entire mystery of consubstantiality, the Trinity? No. Like they're in the early stages here of understanding, but they recognize this is no ordinary guy. Right? This is the Son of God. And it's a sonship that's different than like Israel are called the sons of God. They're like the adopted sons of God in the Old Testament. Angels get called sons of God. They're the created sons of God. The king gets called the Son of God. Like he's the anointed Son of God and like the royal Son of God. But this is a sonship that goes above and beyond that, right? Like Jesus says in Matthew 11, no one knows who the Son is except the Father. And no one knows who the Father is except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Like, wait, so you're saying your sonship is so mysterious that only God the Father has access to? Like, what are you talking about, right? The history interpretation, because it's talking about a divine sonship, an eternal sonship, right? An uncreated sonship. That's what will eventually the church will grow in understanding of the mystery of the divinity of Christ. And that's going to take time to fully understand, but they definitely recognize this is no ordinary guy. And so they hit the deck, which is not something you do as a Jew with just anybody.
Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed that clip, you are going to love the full interview. Please click it and watch it, or else I will tell on you.